Hi everyone. I recently purchased a lot of vintage watch movements, and in the pack there was this nice looking 7 3/4 ling women's watch movement, and I decided to take it apart and clean it to see if we can bring new life into it. And I videotaped the process so you guys can see it with me. So the first thing we have to do is remove the dial and hands, and I use hand levers to remove the hands, and always protect the dial with a poly bag. You will notice that I am not wearing any finger cuts or gloves throughout this disassembly, and it is because this movement will be cleaned afterward. The dial is secured by dial screws, and they are opposite to each other, so just loosen them only very slightly. There's no need to take them apart completely. And in this particular case you can see that the dial actually comes off on the opposite side. That means that the dial foot on that side is broken, and you can see that the dial just slipped off very easily. So that dial foot is broken, that one is still present. Upon further investigation, I decided to remove the broken dial foot, and it's right there in its slot. So the removal is the same, just loosen the dial screw a little bit and take out the foot with the tweezers. And now we will place the movement in the time grapher to assess its performance. So here's the movement in the time grapher in the dial down position. The rate is not that bad, but the amplitude is very poor, which is most likely because the movement is dry and without oil, and also very dirty. So let's clean and lubricate it. So here we have the movement, and I'm just doing a visual inspection. As you can see, the movement is running, and the first thing I like to do is to take out all the power in the mainspring, or unwind the mainspring. And the way you do this is by disengaging the click from the ratchet wheel while holding the crown firmly between your fingers, as you can see, and then slowly letting go or letting the crown slide between your fingers so that the mainspring may unwind in a safe, slow fashion. If you let go of the crown, the mainspring will unwind in about 1 second, and that may lead to broken wheel pivots. Now we can proceed to remove the balance, and I always like to remove the balance first, as it is the most sensitive part of the watch. I will remove the balance cock screw. Almost all movements have very small slots between the balance cock and the main plate, which allows you to very carefully pry it off the main plate before removing it with a pair of brass tweezers. Slightly Maneuvering the balance cock and tilting the movement will ensure that the balance wheel clears the main plate without difficulty. You will almost always find the caliber of the movement stamped underneath the balance cock. Turns out this is a ETA 2512 movement. After removing the balance, I like to start work on the dial side of the movement. So I will flip it over and assure that the movement is adequately held in the movement holder. So I will remove the hour wheel. This particular movement has a minute wheel bridge, so I will remove that now. As you can see, the minute wheel is stuck to the minute bridge, so we have to address that. And as you can see, it easily separates. And now you can see the minute bridge and the minute wheel. Now I will remove the setting wheel, and you can see it here. It's full of grease, which will be cleaned later. Like most ETAs, this particular movement has an indirectly driven cannon pinion with driving wheel, which is this one, which I will remove now. And it comes apart as a single unit. Now I will proceed to remove the setting lever spring. I would recommend to only unscrew a little bit and disengage the spring from the setting lever as to remove the tension, and then continue to remove the screw. That way the part does not fling out or pop out when you try to remove it. It should come off easily this way. I am now observing the position of the yoke and the yoke spring, and I will proceed to remove the yoke spring. It is always a good idea to use a strong pair of tweezers and a cover tool such as this plastic probe to prevent the spring from flinging out, and that is the yoke spring. I will proceed now to remove the yoke, and as you will see, it didn't want to come out and was giving me a bit of trouble. So I had to switch my position and my tweezers to a stronger pair. And never try to force anything out of the watch. Try in different directions and you will see that eventually it will come off. Here is the yoke. The sliding clutch and the winding wheel I will leave for later, and now we can start on the movement side, and we just have to turn the watch over and replace it on the holder. Now I will proceed to remove the upper crown wheel. Please note that this is a reverse threaded screw. And here is the upper crown wheel. And you will also find the crown wheel ring underneath. Always important to take that one out as well. Now I will proceed to remove the ratchet wheel. And it's always good to give a little bit of support to the ratchet wheel when unscrewing the ratchet wheel screw. This is a normal screw, it is not a reverse threaded screw. And here is the ratchet wheel. And next we have to remove the click and the click spring. Again, I recommend using a cover tool for removing the click spring. And here is the click spring. And then we can remove the click. Here is the click in this particular watch. Now we can proceed to remove the barrel bridge, and it's held on by 3 screws. Again, you will notice that there are very tiny slots between the barrel bridge and the main plate, which will help you pry it off very carefully. And then you can remove it with a pair of brass tweezers. And here is the barrel bridge. Now we can proceed to remove the train bridge, which is held on by 2 screws. And I'm just checking that everything is in adequate position. And we'll proceed to remove the train bridge now. Similarly, the train bridge also has tiny slots which help you lift it before taking it out with a pair of brass tweezers. Lift very carefully, again not forcing anything. And here is the train bridge. So now you can see we have exposed the going barrel and the gear train, and I was going to remove the third wheel, which is this one. However, it was giving me a little bit of trouble. It didn't want to come out. I later noticed that it was because the lower pivot had come off its pivot hole, and this particular wheel has a small pinion at the end, at the lower end, and it was stuck with the going barrel. So I decided to remove the going barrel first, as you will see, so as not to force anything. Again, it is very important not to force anything on the watch. So I removed the going barrel, and as you will see, the third wheel will come off easily now. I was inspecting the main plate because I couldn't see the jewel pivot for the third wheel. Turns out it is not jeweled and it's extremely tiny. I will show it to you later. So I took out the fourth wheel next, which is this one, and the intermediate wheel, and finally we will be able to remove the escape wheel, which is this one. And here is the escape wheel. With the escape wheel removed, we can proceed to remove the pallet cock, which is held on by 1 screw. Again, it is good practice to slightly lift it off before trying to remove it with the tweezer, and once it is loose you can easily remove it. That way you protect the pallet pivots. And then we can remove the pallet. Again, this one was a little bit stuck. Again, always very careful. Change positions, change tweezers if needed. It eventually came off, and this is the pallet. I'm just gonna give a final inspection to the plate, make sure nothing is missing, and we still have to remove the setting lever and the sliding clutch with the winding pinion. However, I want to put away these wheels first before doing that. Now we can remove the setting lever by unscrewing the setting lever screw. After this, the stem can be removed with ease, and if you want, we can push the winding pinion and the sliding clutch, and they should fall to the bench, or they could also become stuck in the screw for the movement holder, as in this case, because they are full of grease, old grease, which we have to clean out. I was looking for the setting lever, which was actually stuck in the screw of the movement holder as well, also because it was filled with grease. And then we can remove the setting lever screw. And the disassembly of this watch is complete. Here's the main plate. The crown and stem are heavily rusted. We will have to address that at a later time. So in the next segment, we will disassemble the going barrel and take out the mainspring. So here we have the barrel, and in order to open it, you will need to place it on a hard surface, such as this oil pot, and using a pair of tweezers, you will grab the barrel above the barrel teeth, and you will press down while holding the barrel lid with a plastic probe or another brass tweezer, such as this. You will hear the barrel lid pop, and the barrel is now open. Now you have to be extremely careful when taking off the barrel lid, so as the mainspring does not pop out of the barrel. So using two tweezers, you can take off the lid while holding down the spring. So now I'm gonna take out the arbor, and again, in order to do this, it is best to hold down the mainspring with a pair of tweezers while gently removing the arbor by slightly twisting it from side to side. It is better to use steel tweezers for this, as they are stronger. Next, we are going to remove the mainspring, and please be very careful while removing the mainspring, as it has a tendency to spring out and it may cause damage if it comes in contact with your face. So in order to remove it safely, you have to grab the barrel by one side and with a tweezer lift the center point or the center curve of the mainspring until you get a grip of the sides with your thumb and the center curve actually goes over your thumbnail. This one took a little bit of difficulty, but I eventually got it off. And then slowly let off the mainspring by using your thumbs to detain the unwinding of the mainspring in an alternate fashion, such as you see here. Now be very careful before you reach the end, because it has a tendency to ping off, as you will see happen to me. So as you reach the end, be very careful. This one is gonna ping off. And luckily it landed in my lap. There you see it pinged off the barrel. So here is the mainspring, the barrel drum, the barrel lid, and the barrel arbor, and these are all the components of the mainspring barrel. And the movement is now completely disassembled and is now ready for cleaning, lubrication and reassembly, and we will cover all that in subsequent videos. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.